everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are really excited today. We are talking May Hallmark movies from Hallmark Channel and Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. And it was an interesting month for them. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about it. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Megan is here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Our good friend Betsy is here from Hallmark Happenings. And thank you so much for coming back on the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Betsy, this is your first time since the holidays coming on the podcast. So how is have you had a good 2022?
It's flying by. I'm like, How are we halfway through this year? I just can't believe it. It's going to be Christmas so soon. And I'm like, what is happening with time? It flies.
Really, I mean, we are under 2 months before I start like seriously planning the Christmas coverage season, which seems crazy, but it's true. I started August planning it all out and so but what about you, Megan? How has your 22 been?
Yeah, it's been good. I agree. It goes by faster and faster every year. I just can't believe it. They're getting out of school next week, and I'm so confused. It feels like we just started the school year. So yeah, it keeps going flying by.
How do you think that Hallmark has been doing in 2022?
I think it's been up and down. Specifically with the Hallmark movies and mysteries, I miss the mysteries. Give me some mysteries, please. And I've seen other people on Twitter and say things like that. I think they're really missing out on that. I don't know if part of it was because they lost the Aurora Tea Garden franchise. But I miss the mysteries.
Yeah, I think only had 3, I think, this year, the whole year.
There was none this month at all.
Yeah. What about you, Betsy? I know you don't watch the mysteries, but what do you think about 2022 Hallmark?
Oh man, I'm like trying to remember. There's so many movies. It's like, how do you keep track of that? And like, I don't know how you keep track, because I know you watch like so much stuff. I'm trying to think. Oh, so much Italy. That's all that comes to mind. Like so much Italy, which I like Italy, but that was a lot of Italy.
Yeah, Italy was on the mind because you had Always Amore, you had Welcome to Mamas, you had the second Wedding Bell movie, and I feel like there was even more, but those 3, it was a lot in a concentrated period.
It was, I have, there are other places people can go, such as Greece, such as Egypt. Finland, Norway, there's so many places. And it would be nice to, expand our horizons a little bit with these movies.
It's true. Like that was kind of nice about that Iceland movie they did a couple of years ago, because it was someplace different that I don't really know a whole lot about.
Exactly.
So that was fun. Yeah, I've said it before. I think it's been a bit of a rough patch for them. I feel like they're kind of putting all of their kind of emotional work and effort into this upcoming Christmas season. So it better be awesome, is what I say, because we've paid the price earlier in the year because of that. It just felt kind of like they're just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what will stick. And yeah, the old regime had its flaws, but at least it seemed more, what do I want to use? It seemed more planned and cohesive. And there was like the seasons, and there was, it all seemed to kind of make sense a little bit more. Whereas it's like, all this, and here they'll try like a drama, and here they're going to try this, and then we're having a movie where they go back in time, and then we're going to have a movie where there's ghosts involved. Like it just seems like they don't really have that sort of. There's something comforting about sitting down and being like, I know exactly what I'm watching, I know exactly what I'm getting, and yeah, some people might call that boring, and sometimes it can be when it's not done well, but there's also an appeal to that in the old Hallmark brand.
I 100% agree. I'm one of those people who likes to watch the same movies over and over again. My husband's the
Mhm.
opposite. If once he watches a movie, he can't watch it again for like 10 years. But I realized, like, I think that's one of the reasons I like the Hallmark too, is because I do like to know what I'm getting into. If I'm going to
Yeah.
invest my time to watch something, I want to know I'm going to like it, and I want to kind of know what I'm getting into. But the other thing is that there really wasn't much diversity this month. I mean, all
Yeah.
of the ladies, mostly blonde, all white, I believe,
Hmm.
and all both white couples. So, I would like to see more diversity, which, they've kind of tried to talk about. So hopefully we'll see how it goes this Christmas.
Yeah, because like when I sat down to watch Love Classified, part of the reason why that movie disappointed me is I was really hoping for a diverse, bubbly rom-com, and instead I got this kind of family drama with these characters I didn't like very much, and so I was frustrated because I thought they sold me something they didn't deliver. But yeah, and then the second chance at love, that's another one with diversity that did not deliver, in my opinion. So that's really frustrating because it's like I want to promote, of course, the diversity, but I want the films to be better
Right.
too. I don't know. So it's hard. Spring with Just One Kiss. That was very well done. I really enjoyed it, and I liked Always on Maury too. But I don't know, Betsy, do you have a highlight of one they've had so far that you really liked?
Oh, I liked Just One Kiss a lot. I thought it was super snappy, and I
Mhm.
loved that you saw different actors and the leads, and I just everything about it was great. It was one of my favorites in a very long time.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. Well, this May lineup was definitely, again, kind of that just throwing stuff at the wall kind of a thing. And most of these were acquisitions. You could tell. I, hey, I'll just say it up front. I'm not the biggest fan of most of these movies. There was one that I liked, but I like everybody involved. So it's not personal. It's just my personal taste. So what can we do? But it'll be fun to talk about it. But let's dive in. We have the first one, Warming Up to You, on the 7th of May, Hallmark Channel. Cindy Busby, Christopher Russell, Caitlin Stryker. And this has 4 writers for this movie. It's directed by Christopher Wolf, and the writers, Christopher Wolf, Pamela Rice, W. Stewart, and Stephen Kent. And the summary is, Kate is a fitness instructor who leaves Los Angeles to take a job at her best friend's wellness retreat. To her surprise, A-list actor Rick Steele is assigned by the studio to train with her for his feature film. Not only does the duo make a breakthrough athletically, but they also equally break through some personal walls and find an unexpected friendship that is put at risk when Rick's co-star is also sent to train with Kate. So Betsy, what did you overall think about this movie?
Well, I didn't realize how much I liked Christopher Russell. Just like he's so attractive, but he's so goofy. You know what I mean? Like he's such like the nice balance that I feel like is hard to find. He was just an interesting one to watch in this. Gosh, it was beautiful where they filmed. I'm sure it was like Vancouver. I thought the scenes at the retreat were just beautiful. I was like, I wish I could go there. But there were some funny moments like the avocado green when he asked her color and he was like, ew, the 70s. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. But there were some funny like little lines here and there. And then I know I saw in your notes you mentioned the references to Outlander, which I'm a big fan of Outlander. So we can talk about that if you want to. But yeah,
Yes.
that's my quick spin on things.
I just got caught up on Outlander literally
Woo.
this week. I binge watched the show and I'm kind of obsessed. It's so good.
It was shocking to hear that because, I don't feel like a lot of Hallmark fans could handle
No.
Outlander in its intensity, but I appreciated the reference.
It's definitely not Hallmark friendly, but it's a good show. If you want good acting, good story, creative, well shot, well done, amazing chemistry between Jamie
Here,
and
here.
Claire. Yes. And of course, then they also refer to Bridgerton several times So I'm not sure what was happening with all of that, but it was fun and it was surprising. But what did you think of this one, Megan?
Well, in the first like 5 minutes, she offended me. Like, so she tells I agree with Betsy that the actor was very handsome. And in the first like 2 minutes, she tells him that she can tell if you're fit just by looking at you. And I thought, oh dear. Like, first of all, I just don't, that's not true. That's harmful thinking to say that you can look at someone and determine their fitness or health level. I just didn't like that. I thought shaming the guy for drinking a milkshake and then shaming the other guy for eating some fried chicken. I mean, she just seemed very judgmental and she was not very easy to like. Um, I did think the scene where they were like practicing the stunt. I thought that was a funny scene, and I guess I wished it was more about like him getting in shape for the stunts, like having to lift 50 pounds or run or something besides losing weight. There was a lot of talk of losing weight, and I just felt like that was
Mm-hmm.
very dated. I feel we're in a more like body positivity movement, and it. I just wish it would have been more less weight loss talk.
Yeah, it felt like none of these people have ever had to lose significant amounts of weight. They involved nobody.
Yeah.
That's how
Or
it, maybe I'm
struggled.
wrong, but that's how it felt. It didn't feel true to any kind of weight loss experience, certainly that I've had, for better or worse. I felt like it really missed the mark as far as teaching her. If she's supposed to be a trainer, you're supposed to teach your, nowadays at least, you're supposed to teach your student to make realistic lifestyle changes that you're going to keep throughout the rest of your life. So scenes like him roasting cauliflower instead of making a s'more is, I don't think, really a very realistic lifestyle change. It's not realistic that you're never going to have pizza again in your life. And there's nothing wrong with pizza. It's all about the totality of what you eat, not not shaming yourself for every single decision that you make. So like, instead of, I mean, a s'more has about 200 calories. It's not like it's something that you can't work into a healthy diet. You just don't have any other sweets that day, or and he'd been training all day. So there's nothing wrong with having a s'more for for a treat, you know? So I didn't really like that. I mean, there's lots of ways that you can turn, say, a pizza into a healthy meal, that you have maybe put arugula on top, or maybe you have a salad with it, or some vegetables, or you just work it in so that day you can have a piece of pepperoni pizza and then move on with your life. Like, that's accurate to realistic lifestyle change that you're going to keep up. If they had made it seem like, okay, I've got to, as an actor for his job, like he's got to lose a certain amount of weight for a particular role, because that's something that does happen, and it doesn't necessarily need to be like a super lifestyle change, which was what they were acting like. So if he's going to play like a prisoner or something like that, where he needs to be stick thin, then yes, he's going to go on an extreme diet for that role. That is not going to be something that's expected to be a permanent lifestyle change. But that's not what was happening in this movie. I also feel like he would be more invested in making this happen because it's his job. Like, does he want to keep his job? He shouldn't have to be kind of like tricked into doing this. I mean, if he's basically James Bond in the movies, like he should be invested more than her, certainly. I don't know. What do you think about that, Betsy?
I agree. And, as far as pizza goes, I am a fan of Domino's. And if someone wanted to make your pizza healthier, get thin and crispy because it's less crust and it also tastes delicious and crunchy. So it's crunchy pizza, the thing. But I agree. I mean, this day and age, it's kind of like, yeah, it's an odd kind of overall major theme as far as like the losing weight goes. I don't know. It was odd, and I know a lot of people had a problem with the fat suit, which I completely understand. Yeah, and there should have been more toning. Like because toning is just as important, if not more important, than just like the cardio stuff. Because you got to build up your muscles to be strong, and that wasn't as much of a present thing if we're getting all fitnessy. But yeah, it was interesting. And as far as eating s'mores, I would not recommend eating more than 5 at a sitting. I've done that. It doesn't end well, but s'mores are great.
That one, you're fine. I do not believe for a second that a hoity-toity spa like they showed at the beginning would be serving milkshakes.
Oh, I have a funny story I was going to tell you about because in the beginning that spa was supposed to be like the place where all the celebrities were working out. So when I lived in LA, I wanted to join a gym and I wanted something like really, low key. Needed it to be close to my house so I would walk because if I couldn't walk there, I would never go. So I go to this gym. It's nothing special. First time I go, I see Dexter, Michael C. Hall,
Oh, right.
that actor. And then I look around and I see McDreamy, no, McSteamy, Mark Sloan, the actor. So they both worked out at this little hole-in-the-wall gym, two huge celebrities. So I feel like it's actually the opposite in LA. Like that sometimes they don't go to those flashy ones. You could see them anywhere.
Right.
But definitely got me going to the gym more. Yeah.
I also did not appreciate the fact that they were like shaming using an electric bike, which can be actually a really empowering tool for fitness. My mom uses it all the time because she can go out with my dad, who obviously is faster on the bike than she is, and she can participate in the activity. And it's not like you don't move your body at all when you're on an electric bike. It just helps you a little bit. And I don't know, just things like that just showed to me that this movie just was kind of clueless as far as the whole experience of losing weight and getting in shape. And I don't know, I just didn't like it. I like Cindy. I like Christopher a lot. I like both of them. They've been very good at the podcast. They're wonderful. I like Christy. This one just didn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think her character was just written so judgmental. I feel like you said, she judged the electric bike, and it made me think of the movie with Sarah Rue. Do you remember that movie they did? I think it was called All for Love.
Yeah.
And she has to go through like basic training because she's writing about, um,
That was a
a
good one.
Marine. Yeah, and they had those same kind of jokes where she has to do something physically challenging and it's hard. And, they had those same kind of jokes, yet there was no talk of weight loss. It was all because she just needed to experience the, basic training. And then they had like a funny joke about yoga. So I feel like there's a way to do these kind of jokes in this kind of movie without it like feeling the way it did.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not even opposed to people, wanting to lose weight for aesthetic goals. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just think it has to be kind of handled better. And this did feel, to use a kind of a lame word, it did feel a little fat phobic to me. Like being overweight is like the worst thing a person could be. Like, no.
No, yeah, I agree. I felt that way. I did. And I mean, when the scene where he has to do the weigh-in, when she's like, "We're gonna," I mean, that was almost triggering. Like you said that it seemed like they had never lost weight. It also seemed like they had never struggled with disordered eating because it was like some of this is problematic.
I agree. I did like the little side relationship. I think it was Sasha and Jared was their names. That was kind of cute.
Yeah. I like her, that actress. She's cute.
Yeah. Well, Betsy, what would you give this one? 1 to 5 crowns.
Oh, I'm never good at this. Oh gosh. Well, I'm gonna do this in relation to the other movies, and then the one we're about to talk about. If you're going in chronological order, can I say it's 1 to 5, right?
Mhm.
Can I say I'll just go with 3 because that seems like, oh, I guess 2.5 would be halfway. How about 2.75?
All right. Well, oh, that sounds good. What about you, Megan? What would you do?
I'm gonna give it a 2, and I do feel bad because it's my first review, and I do like everyone involved, and I do like Hallmark. It just this one wasn't for me.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode, it's Baker Publishing Group. If you're looking for your next summer read, check out Where the Road Bends from author Rachel Fordham. In a desperate bid to save her family's land, Norah King agrees to marry a man she barely knows. But just days before the wedding, she comes across a badly injured stranger who upends all her plans and steals her heart along the way. For more information on Rachel and her books, go to www.rachelfordham.com. That's www.rachelfordham.com.
Right. Then next we have Road Trip Romance. This is on the 14th on Hallmark Channel. Natalie Hall, Corey Sevier, director Samantha Wan, writers J.B. White and Stephen N. White. An escalating series of unfortunate events keep belaying a young woman's journey to her sister's wedding, a journey she is forced to take with the guy who was her biggest rival in high school. So, Megan, why don't you start with this one? What did you overall think about it?
Well, I do love Natalie Hall. She's so fun to watch. I thought it was cute in some ways. I do kind of think it missed the mark a little bit. It could have been, I think you mentioned this also, that it could have been a little bit funnier. Um, I did think when they were driving, there was a scene and she said she doesn't listen to music or podcasts. I was like, no podcast. Overall, I mean, it was decent. I thought it was entertaining, but I think it missed the mark a little bit.
Yeah, most of the time in Hallmark movies, podcasters are like the ultimate villain. Oh, they're talking about it on the podcast. Oh, that's very suspect. I remember this going all the way back to the Magical Christmas Ornaments. I don't know if you remember that one with Jessica Lowndes and Brendan Penny. Well, her ex, her ex goes on a podcast and spills all the details about their relationship. And it's just very suspect. Like, oh, we went on a podcast. And pretty much all the other times it's like that. But what did you overall think of this movie, Betsy?
Well, I was like, really another roadblock in this road trip. I mean, come on, but I know it was meant to be that way. Okay. I mean, referencing Outlander again, because anytime you have the opportunity, you might as well. The Mackenzie, Scottish festival. I was like, oh yeah, call it Mackenzie, all that good stuff. So I was like, somebody's probably a fan. They're like, well, that's a Scottish name. We will call it the Mackenzie Fair. But it was interesting. I liked the outfits during that whole deal. It also took place in October, and this is a May movie, so that
It
was
did feel
something
fall
that
harvest.
I was like, "What?" See, it's
Yeah.
like the paying attention to the little things that sometimes you're like, that should not have, been in this time period, and they were wearing thick coats and all that stuff. But anyway, it was interesting.
This is why we have Betsy on this podcast, because the meanest thing she's going to say is that it was interesting. So nice. So yeah, this was disappointing. I was hoping it would be better. I do really enjoy Natalie, and I feel like there's a good movie buried in this movie, but just wasn't executed very well. I just did not think that it was funny enough for this kind of screwball antics that you have, the ridiculousness of all the different stops and everything. I mean, and this type of movie goes all the way back to It Could Happen One Night, like way back into the early, like screwball comedies that you'd have, Bringing Up Baby, things like that. And so there's a, kind of a long legacy, obviously, even When Harry Met Sally, things like that, we have like a road trip kind of element. And in order for that to work, you do need good chemistry, which I thought they had okay chemistry, and you need that banter to be hopping, and it just wasn't funny enough. I don't think I laughed one time. And then also, I usually don't say things like this on this podcast. I'm a film critic. I usually give these movies I'm pretty forgiving when it comes to lighting, sound, all those kinds of technicals, because I know the budgets and, you accept things for what they are. This one was tough though. The sound mix was really bad. There were times when it was difficult to hear what the actors were saying. You could hear the road noise really loud, and that's just tough. I mean, they needed to do a better job in the ADR of making you be able to understand what the characters were saying, to reduce the background noise more. I know that seems like a nitpick, but it was unusually bad, I thought, in this movie. And I did think overall this movie was pretty poorly made. You could tell it was an acquisition. So that was unfortunate. There were some cute moments. Like, I liked kind of them camping out in that barn. That whole sort of segment was kind of cute. I thought everything with her sister was weird. And then the weird friend, I think it was Dahlia or something like that. She was very strange. I mean, that she was getting so much of her self-worth off of being the maid of honor at this wedding, and then she even lies at the end, and that was, I thought, odd. And the Renaissance Fair stuff was pretty fun. Della, her name was Della, sorry. There were, like a couple of cute moments when they were in the car, and like talking about music and things like that, and being on the debate team. And they've lately, I feel like that's been a lot of debate team on Hallmark. It's been a plate that I feel like a couple of different movies that we've had that as an element. I don't know. I wasn't like offended by it, like I was a little bit by Warm Me Up to You, but I just thought it wasn't done very well, which was a bummer.
Yeah, the older couple, that picks the mechanic, that they were kind of creepy.
Yeah, they really were.
And then I'm like, so you invite them over to your house, and then you're like, oh, you have to sleep in the tent. I mean, it was a nice tent, but still, it's like, and it's kind of confusing. And then not telling them that they weren't even going to use electricity,
Okay.
and then the way they delivered it, I was like, oh.
It definitely felt like Hallmark or horror.
Yes, I would explain that to my husband. I was like, there's this thing. And I was like, this is an example of that, because in any other movie, this would be the beginning of the end for these two.
Well, and when I was talking to Natalie, because she did a movie for Lifetime, Stalked by a Prince, and then she also did Fit for a Prince, I think is what it was called. Anyway, those two movies with the same prince in both movies, with Jonathan Keltz playing both. And I'm like, this is a great idea. Every Hallmark movie should have a Lifetime thriller attached to it with the same cast, and they could just go 3 weeks on one, 3 weeks on the other. It would be great.
Yeah, this one would be perfect for that.
This would be perfect for that. You wouldn't hardly have to reshoot hardly any scenes.
You could just change the background music, and you're good.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
Betsy, what would you give this one 1 to 5? You go first all the time. Sorry.
No, I just will patiently wait for a name to be called. So I did feel like it was 2 different movies with a family, and
right,
it was weird. But I would give it like a 1 crown. Can I?
Ooh, yeah. What do you think, Megan?
I thought this one was a little better than the other one, so maybe I'll give it 2.5.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with you. 2.5. It certainly wasn't a success, but there were a few more. I don't know. Their problems were different.
I agree.
All problems. All right. Next, we had Romance to the Rescue. This was on the 21st and Hallmark Channel. Andrew Brooks, Marcus Rosner, Nathan Vitti. I said his name wrong in previous episodes. Sorry about that. Director Heather Hawthorne Doyle, writer Barbara Kamika. Kind of cool that all three of these movies all had female directors. That's kind of neat. So it's Trevor, the new manager of the grocery store where Kira works, seems to check off all the boxes when it comes to what she's looking for in love. When her well-meaning coworker tells dog-loving Trevor that Kira has an agility-trained dog, she plays along. Trevor is excited for Kira to enter her dog in the upcoming agility contest the store is sponsoring, leaving her with a canine quandary. She must adopt a dog and get him to competition ready stat with the help of Mark, the head of the dog rescue. She may pull it off and learn some lessons of her own along the way. So this was definitely my favorite of the three by far as Hallmark Channel. I think that Andrea was really cute, sweet in it. I thought that her and Marcus had pretty good chemistry. It's like the story is nothing that's going to change my life, but like it was fine. It was cute. The dog was cute. This was a, like when you sit down to watch a Hallmark movie, this is basically kind of what you expect, and it was enjoyable on that level, I thought. So it was definitely my favorite of the three on Hallmark Channel. But what did you think of it, Betsy?
Well, I have the weirdest thing. For some reason, when I recorded it, recorded everyone like with a strong red cast. So they all looked like they had a bad sunburn and really bright red lipstick on. So I watched it about halfway and it was just bugging me. So I'm going to have to like delete that recording and re-record it. And hopefully they look like they have, not lobster skin. But from what I did see of it, it was so fun. Andrea had so much energy. I was like, my goodness, this girl is the perkiest thing in the world. And it was funny how it started out. I thought the beginning of it was different than other movies, like how they just began the whole thing like right into her list and whatnot. And the whole scene when she like her friend came to the rescue, like she has a dog, and it was just getting worse and worse. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And she's just all of a sudden in this big mess. But I liked what I've seen of it. Oh my gosh. And that dog, that sweet, beautiful dog, its eyes and its fur. I was just like, I want to hug it all day long. Yeah, but it was great. It was probably my favorite as well, except for Rip in Time, because it felt like Outlander. But anyway.
Well, I Rip in Time is my favorite, but it's just as far as Hallmark Channel, then Romance to the Rescue is my favorite on the regular channel. But yeah, it's definitely a canine quandary, as the summary says. I mean, I had never heard of the specific dog agility thing. Obviously, I've heard of dog contests and things like that, and I still wasn't sure why the grocery store was sponsoring this. What was going on there? But we should all take a lesson that if you have a must-have checklist, never put it on your like fridge where everybody can see it. When you're don't show it where everyone can see it, because it's only going to get you into trouble. I've never had a Hallmark movie that was as fixated on everything being gluten-free as this movie.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was on her list, which I feel like whatever my partner eats is fine with me, as long as he doesn't make me eat it and isn't like a brat when I make something. As long as he's not rude, he can eat whatever he wants. I don't care. I think that's a weird thing to have on your must-have list.
Agreed. Yeah, my sister has celiac disease and she's gluten free, but no one else in her family is.
Yeah.
And sometimes she eats different things. Sometimes they eat the gluten free things. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a deal breaker.
Yeah.
By any means.
Right. I mean, I guess I can see if you're talking vegan and it's like something that's more of a ethical belief, ethical choice kind of thing, part of who you are, then that makes a little more sense to me, why you'd want a partner who was at least supportive, I guess, of you eating that way. But when it's something like gluten-free versus like which kind of bread you eat, I just don't think that's a big deal. What do you think, Betsy, about that?
Yeah, I mean, unless it's like a major celiac thing where you can't have cross contamination, where that's like a serious health thing. But if it's like a preference, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of silly.
Yeah, right.
But I used to try to eat gluten free, but then I don't know why, because I eat regular cheeses all the time and it seems fine. So I don't know. Maybe who knows? It was silly, but I bet those bars were good. They seemed like good, crunchy snack bars.
Yeah. The veterinarian bills for this woman would be very high. It would be eats the chapstick and constantly going to the vet. It would be steep for her. And I did appreciate that the dog wasn't super obedient in the end. You know, he won't go through the tunnel and all of that.
That was
cute.
cute. Yeah.
I also thought it was cute that it was Kira and Kevin. They're match made in heaven. That's cute. And I thought that Marcus and Andrea had nice chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They were cute together.
Mm-hmm.
She was the most likable of the type A Hallmark ladies that we had on the Hallmark channel this month.
Yeah.
It was all type A, and she was the most likable. She, wasn't too judgmental, or, she knew what she wanted in life, but she was also willing to, change a little. And it was in that dog, the eyes on that dog. Oh my gosh.
It really was a cute, cute dog. They did a good job.
Yeah.
They always do a good job with Hallmark dogs. But we're going to see if on IMDb it says the name of the dog. Sometimes they
Sam
do.
and Nova. I think the dog's real name is Nova, if that helps.
That its name is Nova. It's cute. That's cute. Anyway, I enjoyed this. I will give this I'll give it 4 crowns out of 5. It was fun. What do you think, Megan?
I think I do 3.5.
Yeah. And Betsy?
Oh, let's do 3 3/4. So
all right. Okay, now we're going to Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, and we have Heart of the Matter. And this stars Amy Teagarden and Gail O'Grady, Andrew Zacher, Chandler Massey, director Mark Jean, writer Karen Struck, and it's Andy is a cardiologist who is devastated by the accidental death of a patient. As she and his grieving mother overcome their sorrow through forgiveness, they learn that acceptance leads to hope. So, what did you overall think of this one, Megan?
This one was sad. I mean, I thought it was, I had some issues with the storyline. There's things in the plot that didn't make too much sense to me. But I thought the acting was pretty good, but it was just really sad for me, and I didn't I just didn't really want that. I guess I want I either want happy, romance rom-coms, or like I said, I like the mysteries. This one wasn't really for me. And there were some things that just didn't make sense. I felt that her giving her cell phone number was the real problem, not the driving problem. I mean, that you shouldn't give your cell phone number if you're on call or you're not on call, because you're not going to be always watching your phone and you won't always be available. So I thought the fact that she didn't tell him to call 911 was the real issue.
Yeah, what did you think, Betsy, of this one?
Well, I cannot handle medical shows. They freak me out. So I skipped this one. So my input will be very minimal on this. Okay. And also, I don't want to be sad when I watch these. I agree with you. That's not why I watch them. So I was like, okay, medical. And then the storyline was like, wow, depressing. So I did not watch it. I apologize.
Okay. Well, we will be spoiling some parts. So
Oh yeah,
All
sorry.
good.
Yeah. Sorry. I said in my little capsule review that I did that I felt like this felt like an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and I was shut down very quickly by the Grey's Anatomy fans, so I apologize. But what I meant by that is that in those kinds of medical dramas, whichever one that you happen to like, they usually have sort of a disease of the week kind of a thing. Whether it's ER, you can say, and
Yeah.
they have sort of a disease of the week that the doctors are confronted with, and then you sometimes make a mistake, or there's some kind of conflict along with the treatment of that disease. And that's basically what you've got here. But the part of the problem was, I agree with you about the expectation that they should be giving that level of guidance to every part of this person's life is ridiculous, not realistic. But then also, it really wasn't a medical drama for most of the runtime. It was a legal drama for most of the runtime about, who's culpable for what, back and forth, and that was just not that interesting to me. I mean, and I just felt like, why are these people, sort of behaving this way? Like, I don't think she should have gone over to their house. That was a big mistake, especially when you've got litigation pending. Like, that's just stupid. She's supposed to be a smart doctor. But then again, I felt bad because I don't think she actually did anything wrong. So, and she's spiraling, wanting to give up her practice completely. And so I don't know. It just wasn't, it wasn't great. Like, I was trying to accept it for what it was, but I think even on that level, as like a medical drama, I would still rather watch something like Grey's Anatomy or ER or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Like if there was some sort of mystery of like what was wrong, but there was no really any talk about any medical diagnosis. Really, we never even found out what he had. I don't
Mm-hmm.
why he even had those why he had the issues and got into the car accidents. We never even I don't even think they ever tell us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's kind of
I didn't think
implied that
about
he's
that.
like on the spectrum to some degree, but like,
Yeah.
because he loves the like the attention to detail that he had on and everything that he set up in his life and everything. And but as far as the seizures and things like that,
Yeah, the seizures. They never
yeah.
explain that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and again, I mean, anytime you call a doctor, it says, if this is a medical or psychiatric emergency, hang up and dial 911.
Right.
Like the fact that her voicemail wouldn't say that she wouldn't have mentioned that was, and they sort of cover that at the very end, but it was for me that I just couldn't get that out of my head. And then, like you said, she just I mean, she breaks up with her boyfriend and that cute kid, and you know.
And I felt like the hospital should have been more advocating for her, or certainly had more, legal support and other support, because they're liable too. But she was just kind of left out to dry. And I feel like that most, maybe I'm wrong, people that are in medicine can correct me, but I would think they would have some kind of mental health care, some kind of support for someone that's going through this kind of situation. But it seemed like they would at least have kind of a plan of what to do when you're sued and things like that. But it was more about this lawsuit than it was about medicine. And I don't know. We did get a lot of plane flights being purchased that weren't used for these scenes.
Yeah, I know, because that was crazy. Who does that?
Yeah, because he's a pilot, the guy. And so he buys her a ticket so that he can take her into the cockpit and explain, that he's not perfect. People aren't perfect. She's not going to be perfect. And then she leaves and not goes, but he had to buy her at the plane flight to go. And then the second time at the end of the movie, she buys another plane ticket. And so they were getting those frequent flyer miles.
Maybe they were refundable tickets.
Maybe. I think you can actually, maybe not actually get on the plane, but I think you can get a kind of a pass if you go through all the security and you go through like to, because there's like restaurants and there's other stuff that sometimes need to be serviced and things like that. So I think you actually can get a pass, but I don't know if they'd actually allow you to go on the plane. But
Yeah, you definitely can, because I've done it because I work with restaurants, and some of them are in the terminals, and you have to like fill out a form, and then they take you through the security, and it's really not that big of a deal. But yeah, we don't do anything on the plane, so I've never been on the plane. But yeah, I think him being a pilot, he probably could have gotten her through security somehow without actually purchasing a flight. But who knows? I mean, but yeah, but I've had to go through that before, and I wasn't actually flying.
Yeah, the whole rom-com rush to the airport thing has kind of lost its value in recent
because you
years.
can't go to the because you can't go all the way to the gate. Exactly.
Yeah, so this one I would give it, I think, 2 crowns just for the quality of the acting, but I would never watch it again. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I would say like 2.5.
Yeah, something around there.
Somewhere around there, exactly.
All right.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Talk about Rippin' Time on the 22nd, Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, starring Tori DeVito and Niall Mater. And it's Sarah is an organic farmer who meets a man named Rip Van Winkle Jr., who claims to be from 1787. Soon she discovers old-fashioned romantic feelings that might be just as crazy as his story. So, Betsy, you're a big fan of this one. What did you think?
Well, I loved it. It felt different, the tone and everything, obviously being on Movies and Mysteries. And it felt like it felt like mystical, like you were in Scotland in this beautiful, like overcast green, area, like his whole trip to that cave. And I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. Looks like Scotland. But I mean, of course, just because I like Outlander, I was like, God, it feels like Outlander. And he's a redcoat, sort of, but he was fighting for the American side. So that doesn't apply. But anyway, I thought Tori was great. Her hair was adorable. I loved her blonde bob, and Niall did a great job playing like he was so like, new to everything. And I thought it worked really well. And it was a nice change of pace compared to the other movies. And I'm trying to think what else. The dad was funny. It was all funny. They didn't go to a lot of locations now that you're thinking about it, except for just like the barn. And then they went to New York City. So that was kind of nice to see him in that. And then I thought they thought it out well, like with the musket ball that he was shot with and how they played that. Then I don't like sci-fi stuff. But I feel like Outlander is not like sci-fi, but I don't like sci-fi stuff. But I thought this was because they tried to tie in the quantum theory and all that good stuff. I was like, oh, okay, that kind of works. Is that what Doctor Who is like? I have no idea. Maybe. But yeah, I really, really liked it. Yeah. I thought it was great. So I hope you all did too.
I did very much. And when it started, I was thinking, oh no, this is just too silly. This is ridiculous. But it kind of won me over. It was so charming, and yeah, I agree. It did kind of have a little bit of a Doctor Who feel in the sense of they don't really. I mean, they have like a little bit where they try to explain the time travel and how he got there, but they don't really worry about the ripples in time and how this would change like history or whatever. They don't worry about that because who cares? It's the same thing with Doctor Who. They don't care. He's zipping all around in the future and in the past, making all these changes, saving people's lives, doing different things. And they never take time, almost never, in Doctor Who to actually sort of be like, what would happen if somebody actually came in time and changed like Charles Dickens' life or Rosa Parks' life, or some of the kind of things. They don't worry about that on that show, and because I don't know, it just doesn't matter. It's just a fun, silly show, and I think that that's the case here. I thought that they had really nice chemistry, and I agree. I thought it was just something fun and different and unique, and I enjoyed it. Megan, what about you?
I thought it was really cute too. I
Yeah.
did like it. I thought, there was moments where I thought it was just going to be super cheesy, but then I felt the writing was really good. Like when
Mhm.
he's talking about America and like the American dream and all that, and I thought, oh gosh, are they gonna, hold hands and start singing the national anthem? But then she said, I don't know if we have it all right, but we keep trying, and that's what's important. And I thought, wow, that's good. Like I liked that. I liked that it was positive yet realistic. So I just thought the writing was good. I thought all the jokes about women wearing pants was just hilarious. I thought it was really cute. I thought Niall did a really good job of kind of playing that fish out of water character, and it was funny. I laughed out loud several times, and it was cute.
And let's not forget about the kissing in the rain scene. I knew it was coming because our friend Anne had mentioned it on Twitter. And she was like, "What is this? The Notebook?" Like, I was like, it is. That was quite the kiss.
Yes, it was.
Yes. And then the dancing scene was really good. Very swoon-worthy, I thought. Yeah, I loved him in the city. That was really funny.
Yeah, that was cute.
And the little boy, Henry, I think was his name.
Mm-hmm.
He was very cute. He was good. And I think Casey Manderson's character, it worked for me because I like him as an actor, and I've been a fan of his for a long time. I do think he was like a little tiny bit Hallmark horror. Like he was a little possessive, like he owned her kind of feeling. And I'm like, yeah, what have they been on, like one date?
Yeah, at one point he says, "I love you" or "I love her," and I thought, well, are they really even dating? I
Right.
didn't, but yeah, and don't forget the big shocker. They use the words "baby daddy."
Right.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I was like, what?
That's true.
Like that was a shocker. I couldn't believe it. And then when she said, you don't always have to get married, I thought, wow, this is different for Hallmark. I mean,
Yeah,
usually
that's
that
true.
is the case that they're not in the same room or anything until they're married, let alone having a child and not be married.
Hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. Definitely a little bit more progressive for Hallmark.
Yeah. Well, and this whole the brandy that made him fall asleep for 233 years. I mean, that beats that beats the 20 years for the original Rip Van Winkle story. But yeah, I mean, normally unless it's a wine movie, they don't really have the characters drinking in
Oh, and the
Hallmark.
grandfather gets hung over.
Right. They were pretty. Niall was pretty good with that grass kazoo that he did, I thought.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, he got a
I've never
lot of
seen
sound
anyone
out
do
of it.
that.
Yeah, me too. So he decides he doesn't go back, and I guess that's the best ending that you could have for the story, because otherwise she'd have to bring Henry back with her, and that would be kind of, I don't know. They just that would be this is the only way that you could really have the story end, I think.
I agree. Yeah, you don't
Mhm.
want to. It'd be hard to go back in the past, like to live without electricity after having electricity,
Right.
versus the other way around. I can
Mhm.
get used to electricity without having it before, but going backwards, I'm not so sure.
Mhm. And I did like his sort of response to seeing things like light,
Hmm.
more of the little things, like the light and the accents people have, and like you said, the pants. That was pretty good. That was funny. So Betsy, what would you give this one to 5?
I would totally give it a 5.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Megan?
I do 4.5.
I agree. 4.5 for me. It was very fun. So let us know if you're listening what you think of these movies. Where were you at them? How many crowns would you give them? We'd love to hear it in the comment section or on Twitter. And Betsy, thanks so much for joining us. And where can people find your podcast and you on social media?
Oh, sure thing. Well, thank you for having me. This was super fun. Hallmark Happenings. You can just Google it and it comes all up. But you can go to www.hallmarkhappenings.com or just Google and it all pops up. Follow me on Instagram and that good old thing called YouTube. I would appreciate it.
Yes, definitely. And Megan, what about you?
So on Instagram, I'm Megan Ruth 320, and on Twitter, I'm Megan D 320. You can follow me there.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes to our podcast or Betsy's podcast, please leave your ratings and reviews 5 stars. It helps us so much. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store, so check that out. And thanks so much, ladies. This was a lot of fun. And we'll look forward to more movies coming in June. So it'll be great.
Woohoo.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.